Good morning, everybody, and welcome to a special episode of Real Estate Talk TGIF. And I'm here with one of my friends. I call him a friend. He is a friend, and just one of the inspiration people in my life. And it's so great and so special to have John Chelak on with me for episode 308. Yesterday it was 304 weeks in a row. This doesn't count as a week in a row. It's just a special episode for a special human being. John, thank you so much for being on this morning.
My privilege, brother. It's good to hang out.
Good. So it's been such a great life over the past 15 years of knowing you. But we're going to get into some great questions, some help. We're going to help a lot of people today. So Nelson, hit the video.
Real estate agents, are you looking to acquire clients consistently to grow your business and income for a great lifestyle? Well, this is Dave Finale, and I'm here to bring you the Real Estate Skill Builder broadcast, Real Estate Talk TGIF, brought to you by Real Estate Skill Builder and the Modern Agent team.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome again to Real Estate Talk TGIF. This is episode 308. It's a special episode. And John, I start every episode with the same question, so I'm going to start it with you. When you were on number 60, I told you what the answer was. You probably won't remember, but that's okay. What does TGIF stand for?
Thank God it's Friday, but we're on a Saturday.
Yeah, you're close. That's why TGIF still works for today, because it's thank God it's finale.
I knew when I said it, I knew that was coming.
Hey, man, thanks again for coming on. You know, everybody has their journeys. Everybody has their trials and tribulations in the real estate business, you know, and they have it in life as well. I've been lucky to work with a lot of the greats, and on this broadcast, I've had a lot of the greats. And you know what? You're at the top of that list, my friend. You know, I started my first coaching experience was Joe Stumpf, Dean Jackson. And then it rolled into really you, and I've had experiences with Tom Ferry, Brian Buffini, and of course Grant Wise, another really true great friend of mine, who is you know, just an inspiration to me as well. It's funny, he's less than half my age. Anyway, but the thing is that, you know, I've been inspired and have been lucky to be able to do something like this to help and give back. John, trials and tribulations, we've all gone through things. We've all had a life. Tell me about your journey coming from whatever you want to start it. It doesn't matter. I mean, I know your journey. A lot of people, you're very transparent with your life and your journey and your professional career. Talk to me a little bit about where you came from so people understand that it's not always, the road's not always easy, but it can be made easy.
Yeah. And I think we're all different in how we remember and articulate where we came from. And I just like to not keep things surface. You know, I'll go to the core of it. I think I grew up always constantly trying to prove myself because of lack of self-worth and lack of self-confidence. And when in doing that, what's very interesting, because people talk about the problem. Well, I went through challenges with drinking, or challenges with financial problems, this or that. And that's all fine and dandy, but that's just the symptom. I think it's really important that people talk about what is the disease. And so, you know, my disease was wanting to be accepted, wanting to fit in, and wanting to prove myself, and all those type of things that I don't care who you are. Everyone goes through that. Anyways, low self-esteem, huge ego, low self-esteem. So, you know, I'm a real estate guy. I got into this business at 21 years old and had massive success through my career, 100% because of other people that were very generous and contributed their brilliance, their experiences. Certainly I sought them out. I am a product of that. I'm a product of my work ethic. But for many, many years, it was a series of misadventures, because I was constantly in conflict. And, you know, as you ask for the story, I think the reason that we tell a story is that hopefully someone can see where they fit in the story and see that maybe there's a lesson in it, or an aha in it, or something where they don't feel alone. And so for me, in all of those interpersonal issues that I had, that we all have at certain levels, my thing was drinking. And so, you know, I battled alcoholism from 21 to 41 while I would navigate through and get good results. And I got clean. It'll be 16 years in July. My resume of accomplishments as an agent, as a branch manager, as an executive had already been established. I was already doing coaching, but I had that one big piece that always haunted me for 20 years. And, some would debate that, you're never over it or whatever. And I just say, well, that's okay. That's your opinion, but something I'm never going to do again. And the only thing that changed in my life was everything. And it'll be 16 years in July. So that's been my big thing, but it wasn't the drinking thing. It was the interpersonal stuff and the deep personal work that I had to do over the years and continue to do.
Yeah, that's one of the things that's really important that I've seen in my I mean, I can look back and look at my growth and stuff and see the personal challenges and about me and what I've gone through over the years and see how I've gotten to where I am today. And it's just we all have these personal challenges. We're like we always had the work ethic. Like you always have had the work. Things got in your way and you had to travel through them and burst through them and just grow. And that was it. And now you're at a position where you've been able to, I mean, you just never quit. Right. And before we came on, I started talking about where I'm going and where I am. And it's about not quitting. I mean, it's all about that. I mean, it's all about studying and working and getting there. As you moved along, John, in your process of getting to where you are today, you've gone through a lot of block walls, a lot of shit that's been in the way. What do you think has been the way and the method that you've been able to push through them? Was it just persistence? What did you need? Was it coaching? Was it all different kinds of things?
When I just came to understand the power of, for lack of better words, because it was a great book written by Eckhart Tolle, the power of now. When I really had to take a look at what I experienced and what I was feeling in my life and the things that were showing up in a way I didn't want them to, in that journey. Eckhart Tolle was someone that, you took a look at it, the things that, anxiety, and discomfort in my life and in my business had to do with worrying about something that happened in the past or something that's going to happen in the future. So for me, it was really being where my feet are, the power of now, winning today, taking all the things that are outside of you, understanding principles of personal responsibility. Really, I think the overarching breakthrough for me was taking personal responsibility, owning all outcomes, and not letting the external, the uncontrollables impact me. And so, from that standpoint, markets didn't matter. From that standpoint, competitors didn't matter. From that standpoint, and not to say that I dismiss them, my mistakes didn't matter. They didn't matter to the level where I let them paralyze me. From that standpoint, what could happen in the future didn't matter, because all I have control over is the controllables. And the controllables are the choices I make. And so in its simplest of places, it is just win today and don't worry about the scoreboard, worry about execution of doing the next right thing right.
You know what? That's something that I've lived by from I learned from you. I mean, you just talked about personal responsibility. Mm-hmm. And, one of the lessons that I got from you was no matter what happens, it's your responsibility.
Yeah, it's your fault.
It's like, I give you an example, man. I mean, I remember a number of years ago, I had a car accident. I didn't have somebody hit me. I'm pulling on the street. They come out of a driveway and they hit me. And I said to people, well, it was my fault, my responsibility. So how could it be your responsibility? I said, think back of how I got to where I was to get hit at that moment. Mm-hmm. I decided to do something that I shouldn't have done, which cost me 5 minutes. Mm-hmm. So, and I realized schedule and what I was doing in my plan, I went away from it. So that's one way that I've taken personal responsibility. I mean, that's just a really simple example, but it's so true if you really think about it. You also hit upon getting through everything. There was people have problems with fear and they worry about what others are going to say. When you take the personal responsibility, nothing else gets in your way It's all about you. And you also said you actually answered a question when you're taking personal responsibility and other things don't matter. Markets don't matter. Competition doesn't matter. It's just you control what you can control. So when we talk about controlling what you can control, what about fear? What about, you say, just worry about now. But people have a fear. Agents have a fear of moving forward. They fear themselves. It's imposter syndrome. I mean, fear and overwhelm is what can keep people from taking action. Is there an easy way out of that, John? Is there an easy way to push through that?
Sure. Yeah, it is. Number one, imposter syndrome is purely a result of not having a crystal clear mission. Anyone who tells me they're afraid or imposter syndrome, I'll say, great, tell me your mission. And 9.9 out of 10 people can't give you a mission statement, because a man or a woman on a mission is unstoppable, That's number one. Number two, having guiding principles. And your guiding principles are your North Star. They are law. A principle is really simple. Every time I let go of this pen right here, it's going to hit my desk every time. So, with that, then it just comes back down to asking yourself, what is my mission? Are you connected to your mission? Are you connected to your mission? When you have fear, overwhelm, and doubt, are you connected to your mission? Then the second place that you go to is, what are your principles? And the principles include the controllables versus the uncontrollable. And so it is coming back to, and there's leadership. Like, we can go to a seminar, we can go to an event, we can have a coach. But here's the challenge. Those things are fleeting. Being with myself, being with yourself, that's an every minute thing. And so what does your self-leadership look like? Your self-leadership must be guided by a mission, not just a statement, but something that is internalized, and then principles. And one of those principles is, focusing on the controllables and letting go of the uncontrollables. I don't control the market. I don't control the inventory. I don't control interest rates. I don't control the election. I don't. Here's what I control. I control my action steps and my execution. That's it.
So how do you get better at it?
You just commit and you go moment by moment. I don't know that there's a getting better. I think there's a choice. I mean, it's always I don't get to do the work that I get to do because I've perfected it. I probably get to do the work that I get to do, coaching people, consulting, because I'm committed to the craft. How do you get better at it? You don't let your emotions take you on a roller coaster ride. You don't look at a result and judge it. All a result is, it's contrast. When I fail, it's not a failure, it's a result. What we do, if you want to measure what failure is, that really gets defined based on what we do with the result. I think it's a failure if you accomplish something at a high level and you don't build on the back of it. I think it's a failure if you get the result that you do not want and take the lessons from it and change. See, the result is just the result. It just is. Don't judge it. If you look at and listen to real closely pro athletes, whether it's basketball players, golfers, what have you, imagine, or baseball. I mean, let's see, you've got to, 30%, 32% lifetime, 31%, you're in the Hall of Fame. I mean, if you're a lifetime 300 batter, Dave, are you going to the Hall of Fame? Probably.
Most likely.
Most likely. Yeah. Great. So that means you've got to fail 70% of the time.
Right.
Well, no, that Hall of Fame doesn't, it's a result that they use to go back to the tee, hit the ball off the tee, to go back to the cage, to watch film. And so I think, it's having a mission, having principles, and then constantly going back and revisiting and not judging your results.
The goal is the goal is where the learning really begins, So the failure part it took me so long to get this, and then always worried about this, that, and the other thing. And one of the things, where was it? You cannot judge what you're doing. And you said if you get to reach a goal, you have to take it. For me, what I look at it is this way: if you reach a goal, what's next?
Mhm.
Right? What's next? So my example of failure in that result is always wanted to run. My goal when I was running was run a 9-minute mile consistently for 3 miles. Right? Every time I've reached it, it's like after that I couldn't get close to it again. It wasn't in my body; it was here because I didn't have another place to go. Right? And one of the things, I mean, look, John, I've got notes upon notes with you and stuff that we've spent time together on. But one of the things I read this morning was is focused growth is in the gap,
Yeah.
right? What you said. I mean, the amount of goal not realized,
Mhm.
or to me, along with that is where the goal is. If you're getting there, okay, man, what's next? I always got in trouble years ago when an agent would come and say, I got a listing. I'm so excited. I said, that's fantastic. Let's get it rolling. Where's your next listing coming from? The attitude I had was I had the wrong person in the room because they say, well, aren't you happy enough that I got a listing? Yeah, I am. But what's next? Let's keep going. I mean, that was my mindset. It always has been, right? Talk to me about the gap and how that can really, really push people forward.
Well, I think the most important thing is the first thing to do is acknowledge what you did do. I mean, we're getting into now looking at the gap. Doesn't matter if you judge it personally or if someone judges it, because then what takes over is Maslow's hierarchy of needs and our desire for approval. And so then we just get into this emotional circle of I just want approval. So the first thing is to, when you notice a gap from where you're at to where you want to be, I think some bad advice that's given out there is that the windshield's bigger than the rear view mirror for a reason. Yeah, it is, because it's more important that you obsess and focus on the rear view mirror, because that's where the lessons are. And so it's the ability to, I mean, many times, if you look at that quote cliche
Right.
about the rear view mirror and the windshield, a lot of it has to do with people don't have the emotional intelligence and emotional maturity to be able to look at a result, not a failure, to look at the result and see where actually there is dark and light in everything. What are the things that you might judge and see that weren't good? They're wonderful, because if you didn't see them and experience them, it wouldn't give you the contrast you need to change. And the flip side of that is maybe your goal was accomplishing 10 of something and you got 3, obsessing over the 3. So when you're looking at the gap of what you did not accomplish, say that it was 10 of something and you got 3 perfect. 7's the gap, but 3 is the accomplishment. Spending time in the accomplishment and unpacking the accomplishment is actually how you then approach the gap.
Right.
And that's where the growth is. It's where the opportunity is.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest mistakes that we make as human beings, and we make as people, we make as real estate agents, is the judgment, which you said earlier, is don't judge the result, because I look at it this way, right? When I work with agents, I say, it's not a failure and it's not a bad thing. We're going to win or we're going to learn, right? We're going to learn at what didn't work. We're going to build on from that, and we're not going to judge what we're doing. That's where the fear and all that other bullshit comes in, right? So, and one of the things I've learned from this great guy, John Chelak, is, don't be a judge, be a witness, right? Just look at it and say, okay, so what is that telling me? What is that, what I'm calling failure? What does that shit look like to me? What does it mean? And the word you've used really is that really put shit together for me was contrast, right? The contrast between where you want to go, where you didn't go, and what didn't work. I think what didn't work is probably the biggest part of any teacher or coaches or mentors piece to take from there. What do you think about that?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's valid. I think it. Um, I think that people just really. I mean, here's what I would say. I think people overcomplicate productivity. I think people overcomplicate what it takes to do what you need to do, and I think it's the difference between. Well, if you take a look at, let's come. I like all the cliches because if you really inspect all the cliches and quotes that are thrown around,
Right.
you start to see. Well, here's what I'd say. I wouldn't say you see the fault in them. I say you see the duality in them. So watch this. That which we resist persists. So that means don't look at the things that didn't turn out. What's going to keep? It's going to keep happening over and over and over again. So for me, it's keeping it. It is keeping it really, really simple. It is, and I'm not saying you just blow things off when you don't get what you want. I think it's inspecting things with an eye for principles, not personality, and seeing what worked, seeing what didn't work, and building your skills or recommitting and going back out and do it again.
Is it all about self-evaluation then in a different light of rather than beating yourself down, you beat yourself up,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, yeah, and listen, here's the other thing too. It was great. I was on a podcast with a young lady that she's got a nice little mortgage business that's closed 1.6 billion in a year.
That's
She's
pretty
done it
good.
5 times, and it's okay. Anger's a good thing. You can use if you can take anger and channel it, right? Pick your spots on when you get pissed off. Because sometimes, I'm going to risk a relationship. I posted about this the other day. I'm going to risk a relationship and piss someone off. Okay. And sometimes you need to piss yourself off or be pissed off so that you can take some action. But, and somebody say, well, then that's judgment if you're angry. Nah, listen, emotion moves people. Logic doesn't move people. Emotion moves people.
Right. Right. It's the same thing with anybody buying or selling a house. It's all about the emotion and what they feel about themselves and what they feel inside. Um, you know, over the years, I mean, look, since I've known you for the years I've seen, one of the things that I can say about you more than I can say about anybody else is the consistency in the message. The consistency is, you don't care if you piss people off, but you actually do because the pissing off is where the love is, and people don't get that, right? So I'll never forget a time where I had done we were at a convention together. You were across the hall. I was in another room, and we're both speaking. And then I had done a video in the morning, and you came across into just to say, you kind of like you hit me here and said, "You're selling, man. You're selling. Stop fucking selling." Right? I know you won't remember that, but I remember that really well because there were some other people there. And you walked out of the room and said, "Wow." I said, "He's right. Holy shit, I was right."
Mhm.
But that wasn't you. That was like all out of love because of you.
Mhm.
And people don't understand that. And accountability is as you say the highest form of love. And that's what I say now too, right? So
Yeah.
truth be told, John, I do say a lot of things that you say, but that's
I say, and Dave, ready? And I'm just a vessel. I didn't invent anything. I'm saying the things that my mentors have passed on to me, and I want people to hear this. Well, this person copied me. I hope they did. If it's something that worked, I hope they copied you, and you should hope they copied you because you copied someone else, right? And so, I think because listen, it's proven. Why try and think that you're going to be a magician and invent something? And I'm not minimizing people's inspirations, but
not at all.
it's some simple core foundational principles that allow us to move forward and have the experience we want to have in our life and our business. Really is.
It really is absolutely, and accountability, as we said, is the highest form of love. So talk to me when let's talk about real estate agents, right? So real estate agents, they get into stuck. We're and markets don't matter, but we're in a crazy market. We've got
Well, it does, and it doesn't because you got to.
right.
Well, I am sure.
Right. I mean, for mindset and what you have to do, like I'm with a group of people now that are, are already done more, almost are tracking to do close to twice as much as we did last year, right? In a team. It's the Align team in Northern New Jersey. And it's just such a blessing to be working with great people. And the reason for that is that we keep moving forward. We keep inspecting everything that we're doing. But that real estate agent that doesn't see that, right? And I think a lot of it has to do with not having the right push or whatever. And one of the things that can get real estate agents moving is understanding where they're going to go and when they're going to go, when they're going to get there. So like one of the things that I've learned from you was how much by when, right? That's one of the things that's really important. I'm coming up with all this stuff from years, right? But that you've made an impact. What's the important part with owning what their experiences and results are, and knowing, having a certain challenge to move forward with that line?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think there's two parts to it. There's a perspective from a leader's standpoint, and how the leader comes into the relationship. And, if a leader's watching and listening to this and they're having challenges with their agents, you need to go back to it. So many times people think it's the experience that we're having right now. Well, the experience you're having right now is based on the expectations that were created in the beginning of the relationship. And so you've got to unpack that for agents that are with you currently. In the future, I think going forward and evaluating, if you want to change what is taking place in your organization today, take a look at and this is from a leader's standpoint, take a look at the things that in your culture, your current culture, which is the experience people have. I love that word culture. People sling it around like mud, and
Yep.
Mud is messy. And no, culture is the experience that people have, man. It's really that simple. But take a look at the current experiences you're having as a leader, your agents are having, that aren't in alignment with your vision, and change your interview. Change your interview to be crystal clear on who you are, what you do, and what you stand for, and what the expectations are, so that it minimizes the likelihood of those things happening again. And or if you're clear in that interview, making sure that when someone does join you, you don't let time go on, because your principles, your standards, your expectations are not what is written in the contract. It's not what you told someone in the interview. It's what you allow. It's what you allow. So pay close attention to that. Now, on the flip side, and this will, this helps both. This will help because, leadership and being an agent, there's a partnership you need to look at. So as I look at the agent standpoint, I think most important thing an agent can do is be humble, vulnerable, and transparent. I think that you've got to surrender to leadership. Every high performer does. Where is surrender showing up in your life? Right? Like, listen, I'm not a doormat. In my relationship with my wife, though, do I have to surrender at times? Absolutely.
Right.
Right? I have to surrender to feedback. I have to surrender to what's important to her. I have to surrender to time. And you may seem like, what do you mean? Well, listen, let's just be honest, everyone. We can all say, oh, I'm a great wife, I'm a great dad, I'm a great husband. Listen, there's three most important subjects to a human being, you guys: me, myself, and I. Come on. Right? And it's the same said for an agent. You got to surrender to leadership. And surrendering to leadership looks like this. Number one, you got to be clear on what you want. Number two, you need to know this. It takes fucking hard work. I mean,
Yeah.
really, if you've been, I'm going to be careful on this. I'll just say it this way. If you've been reprogrammed based on what's happened in the last 4 or 5 years, that you get a whole bunch of something for doing nothing, well, this isn't for you. Real estate isn't for you. But be clear on where you want to go. Come with emerging values of humility, vulnerability, and transparency. surrender to a process that is proven. Surrender to principles of commitment, consistency, and discipline. Notice, folks, because people hear surrender, like, listen, when you step through your power. When you come to surrender, you look at masculine, feminine energy, and men. No, I'm not going to surrender. Um, you know, it is for the men. Put away your man card. If I surrender to a proven process that a leader maps out, if I surrender to the activity a leader suggests that I do, if I surrender to continue to go back and learning, I'm going to win. I'm going to win. And so like right now, it is, I think the most important thing for an agent right now. It was beautiful. I had someone, because I'll do, coaching calls, $2,000 for a 20-minute coaching call with me. People must commit once a week. And I'll get one-off calls. People say, can I do one call with you? Sure. I honor consistency. So it's $5,000 for 20 minutes. If you want to do a one-time call with me. Cool. I want to do it. I said, well, but before you do, I'm not out here, slinging $5,000 calls. It's not what I'm looking for. I mean, I'm here to help people. What's going on? Well, I'm thinking I need to do this, this, and this. I said, listen, I'm going to help you in freaking 30 seconds. Pull your calendar and your CRM out and show me how many days you did not do the minimum required activity and did not document it and the activity that would support the result that you want. Conversation over. And it was the best coaching session, in 30 seconds you can give someone, and it always has been and always will be. So keep it simple, surrender, come with humility, come with vulnerability, come with transparency, be clear on your mission. And I think here's the other one though, David, you watched it, don't give up. It was interesting. I want to read something that just popped up here. Just the irony, I did a post yesterday that was pretty vulnerable, talked about my journey. Yep. My son jumped in. And he says, I remember living in that little apartment with you in 2014 before everything was on the right track. Although life felt a lot different, interesting part is that the day-to-day routine wasn't much different than it is now. Same mission and same work every day. I guess I'm liking dropping my coasters. It's mine.
I guess you're liking it today, right?
But David, so it is really, as you look at it, it's not a strategy I guess it's a strategy. It's not a tactic. The strategy is to be clear on your mission, to have values of humility and surrender to leadership.
It's funny you talk about that. Your son came into that. I saw that post, and it's a very powerful post about you coming through different things and your son coming in. And I remember, years ago when I met Alec for I think 2 minutes about maybe 12 years ago, right?
In Vegas? Was it in Vegas?
Yeah, it was in Vegas. I came out a couple of days early, played golf with a couple of your guys, and I was at your house for a minute. It was March, your Christmas tree was still up. I remember that. I don't know why that's so vivid in my head, but I remember that and meeting your daughter and stuff. And so it was just a very cool experience just seeing it. And the interesting part was you were that was like the start of John Chelak, right? That was the start of what you've done. And everything is just, it's persistence, and you never gave in. And one of the things that is really the thing that everybody should look at is what you just said is surrender to what you want to do. Just surrender to it. And I don't know, John, if you had to surrender or that was just your mindset and your work ethic. Is it built into some people? And if so, how do you build it?
Surrender. No, it's you have to surrender, because otherwise you're going to resist, and you're going to, work ethic and mindset and motivation and inspiration. Listen. I mean, I'm going to the gym afterwards, after our interview, and then I've got another Zoom. I don't want to go. I'd rather hang out, man. I mean, but here's what I surrender to. I surrender to integrity. Or what do you mean? Well, because I get the privilege of being, and that's being humble. I get the privilege of someone like you interviewing me. So hopefully we can impact other people's lives. Well, that's just not a, hey, jump on and do something. It's a value of my time. It's a value of your time. And it's something that's going to be heard by people. Well, there's a body of work that goes with that. That body of work, what gets me the opportunity to do this? Surrendering to discipline, surrendering to commitment, surrendering to consistency. So I don't, and so when you surrender to those things, you have no choice, and making sure that you want to keep your integrity. So then what happens is, because listen, we're all motivated. I was an alcoholic for years. I was motivated to drink. Like, everyone's motivated. If you're not making the money that you want to make, your business isn't where you want to be, and you're a complainer, great, you're motivated to complain.
100%. I mean, look here, okay, so I'm going to give you something from me, right? So for me, as I get older, it's like, do I really want to do this? Do I really want to work this hard? Do I still want to like have that what we call here in my family, the finale work ethic? Do I still want that? But the thing is that I'm just finally realizing what it's all about and why I do shit and where my work ethic is from and why I do it and how I do it and why I want to do it. I always said, look, you hear this a lot from agents, I want to help people. Well, that was always the one thing that I always wanted to do. And I think the failure that I had to learn from was, why wasn't I able to help more? So I looked at that and was able to build forward. And now it's the achievement and the accomplishment. Now there's a new goal. Now there's something else. And what else can I do where that 9-minute mile I achieved, but could never achieve it again. Now I've achieved something and I keep striving and keep moving forward. And I think that's what people really need to look at is, you talked about culture, right? So it's not only the culture of the company they're with, but it's their culture in their head that will move people forward, I believe, because it's moved me forward. Is that putting all that stuff together? It's all from different places. That makes sense, or is there something I'm missing in that?
No, it makes total sense. Yep, makes total sense. I think that in passion and vision and mission, and and I even threw mission around. I threw it around though with an articulation. It's what we do that serves the greater good.
Right, exactly.
That's what mission is. So I think we all go through that. There's times where I think, okay, cool. I'm just going to chill, right? Because Dave, I think we knew each other when I lived off grid in Hawaii. Out on an organic farm and was just chilling. But I think it's just always checking in with your mission and your vision, but not then just checking in on doing a million different things and testing a million different things. It's digging in and doing what you need to do to make it happen.
So we've talked about a lot of different things here in to help people with their mission and surrendering and the feedback and everything. What do you think is the biggest thing in our world that holds people back? It holds people back from actually, okay, so doing the work and being although it's not, I don't really believe in it, lazy agent. I don't think they know any better. What do you think is the number one thing that holds people back?
Truthfully, it's self-doubt.
How do you get through it?
Well, the number one thing you and I both know is that your business and life will only grow in the level of your personal development. And if your business is here, but your personal development's here, don't worry, your business will tank. Something will happen, or your life will tank. It goes that way. So it's just digging in and what's okay, great. I'm going to read a book. What am I getting out of it? I think the mistake that people make is so worried about the outcome. Okay, so I read a book. Does that mean I'm going to get over this? Listen, here's what I know. I know that if I eat good food, okay, and the right portions, things are going to change.
That's the same with anything, though, isn't it?
Right. I know that if I exercise a bit more, and you've done gosh, the health commitment you made many years ago. I mean, look at you. Good grief. And you knew that, okay, if I exercise, if I change these certain eating habits and and other things like that. And gosh, things are going to change. They did. So it's the same on the personal development side. I've got self doubt, or maybe there's some. Most people have a drama or trauma from their childhood. That's what shows up a lot for people. So there's self doubt, self worth. Well, good. Then listen. When you have a cold or you have a sinus infection, you go to the doctor. Okay. I mean, I think the most important thing is that you diagnose. So great. We've diagnosed that we have self doubt and we have fear. Cool. Well, the prescription is being around people that can lift you up, being around people that have been there, being around people that are there right now, but are not victims and are doing the work next to you to get better. And then going and looking for resources, whether it's a book, it's an online training or something like that. And then just committing to a process that's really not that complicated. Not that I'm going to this course and it's changing everything. Well, that's bullshit. No, I'm going to go down a path of personal development. And what I'm going to do is also surrender, because when it does get uncomfortable and I'm asked to do something within that journey that is really a promise to change things, I'm going to do what I have to do.
It's not. I agree with you. I mean, I think it's a promise, but it's also a choice of what you want to do, and you have to think about. Okay, this is what I want. Do I really want to do it? And if I want to do it, am I going to take the steps to get to it? And that begins with building self-esteem and also building choices, right? And that's the biggest thing. I mean, if you want to go to the gym every day or you want to do something every day, the choice starts with, okay, when am I waking up to make sure everything else can get done? That's where the habit starts, right?
Starts the day before.
What's that?
I did that video 5 years ago, where everyone was running around with a morning routine. That's ridiculous. Your problem is not your morning routine. Your problem is your night before routine. Did you drink? Did you get to bed in time? What kind of shit did you eat? And what kind of shit did you watch on TV? I mean, really, really simple. Like that's, these science projects. Because watch this. Here's what I know about morning routines. Get up and fucking go to work. Take a shower, wash your ass, take a piss, have coffee, get to work. That works really, really well. It works really, really well. It's like so many people doing these morning fucking routines, that they do them to, I think part of it, they do it to avoid work. Many of them. It's like, oh, I did so much. And they don't do fuck all the rest of the day. Excuse me. I'm going off on a tangent on that one.
No, do it, man. I agree. Look, I know when my day starts and what I have to do, but I also know, like you said, I didn't think about it because you just said it. What I do the night before so that I can do what I want to do the next day.
Yeah.
I've been doing it and I've been teaching it and I've said, oh shit, that's like, hello, right?
Yeah.
So it really works. Hey man, I want to respect your time and I want to thank you so much for doing this conversation with me. And, as I said in the beginning, I've known each other a long time. You had a big influence on my life, how I do things, what I want to do. I don't do an awful lot of events, but I do Chelak events.
I've seen you there.
Right.
Always takes me back, man. When I see you walk in the room, I just go, wow. Dude was here when there were 3 people in the room.
Hey man, the first mastermind was, I think, 16 people in Arizona in a boardroom with a projector, Yeah. And it was just, I still have the picture of us at breakfast the first day, which is so cool. And that's where I met Ryan Hodge. Right.
So, out on the patio, wasn't it? Wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Patio?
Yeah, it was. I'm going to repost that picture just to.
How many years ago was that?
That's got to be. I think
you need to look that up and text me. I want to know what year that was. Okay.
Okay. No, I will. I will.
Yeah, I need to know that.
Because that was really fun. Because you talked to me, says, Dave, I'm thinking about doing this. I only want to charge people what it's going to cost. I want to start trying this. And then we did a weekend. That's something else completely. Didn't say, well, I want to do this weekend thing. And then shit, if you look at those things, right, what nobody knows about, how it's evolved. John, I think the best event you do is the Tahoe event, which what's the date? You got a date yet?
September, I think it's 17, 18. Yeah, that one.
I'm bringing people to that with me this year.
That's the bad boy right there. Yeah.
It absolutely is. Hey, man, look, I'm going off on tangents talking about old times that nobody could really give a shit about, but we do. You know? But I want to thank you, man. Heart and soul, brother. Thank you so much. I got two things really quickly before we finish. One, and this is the most important question I think I'll ever ask you in my entire life. What can I do to help you grow and grow your business?
To continue to do what you're doing right now, to take all of the everything that you continue to learn from others, everything that you have learned, and build other leaders. Because how that helps me the most is hopefully some of it weaved in there is things that, you know, maybe I've shared with you that I've passed on to other people, and that's just really how it goes. It's really simple.
Right. I think one of the important things you said on this broadcast, as well as before with me years and years ago, hey, look, I didn't make up everything I got. I learned it from others. I copied it from others. And I remember, I'm going to say this too. I mean, someone called me a Chelak Jr. once about 10, 12 years ago. And I said, thank you. So, you know, so that kind of shit goes on. But anyway, John, last but not least, of course, you know, last time was a red and black one. Now it's the blue. So, and it actually matches my shirt. That was not planned. Anyway, this has coming to you, my friend. Thank you so much. God bless you and your family. Best to everybody in your family. And thanks, man. I'll see you soon. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you, brother.
Take care. Bye-bye.